Okay. There's lots of steps. Go, okay, click on this step, click on that step. All right. Hello, hello. Working?
Oh, yeah.
Better?
Yes.
See, there you go. Okay, for now. Do you want me to shut up? Okay. Okay. So it's good to just begin by kind of getting a grip on our presence here, really becoming aware of your body sitting on a chair or a cushion. Just allow yourself to be aware of the pressure of objects against your body. Be aware of the temperature of the room against your skin. Bring your awareness to the breath, going in and out of the body. You don't need to change the strength of the breath. Just notice it. The tip of your nose. Do a scan of the body. Noticing if your face is relaxed. Bring your attention to your forehead, to the jaw, to your neck and shoulders. Just letting your mental attention allow them to release the tension. And follow the breath going into the body. Imagine you can feel it going down to your toes. And just relax into your breath. Our mind is kind of like a river, constantly changing, moving, sometimes quite obviously, like whitewater rapids, sometimes almost imperceptibly, when we fall asleep. So what we want to try to do is not fall into the river. But just watch the river flow. Recognizing when thoughts arise, but not getting involved with them. Let them go with the current of the river. Now bring to mind the reason you decided to show up this morning. And based on that reason, try to generate a strong intention to use your time well. And be expansive with your wish that it be of benefit, not only for yourself, but that this benefit will ripple out to those around you. Putting out positive energy in the world. Okay, so bring your attention. We're going to recite some prayers. Who's in charge of prayers today? Anyone? Me? I can do it. Would you?
Yeah, I have them. I have them on the desktop.
I can do it here.
If you prefer.
Come on, I just don't want you to have to run around back and
Okay.
forth.
Yeah, not a problem.
As it can take me a while to get. By the way, my name is Tendron, for those of you I haven't met. Not that you'll remember that, but just in case. I'd like to start with the four measurables, which are the four immeasurable minds. 34. Thank you. It's like 42. But it's not. It's 34. So the four immeasurable minds are the minds of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So try to bring to mind some real people. And try, so we're sending out love and compassion, joy, and really having equanimity. So it doesn't matter whether you like the people, not like the people, but of course that can be hard. So you might want to start with people you care about. So, but we want to develop the mind that genuinely wants these things for all beings. So may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. I kind of pause in between just to, confuse everybody. So you're sending out this genuine love, which is merely the wish that beings be happy and that they have the causes for happiness. Next line. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So this is the mind of compassion. And the next line. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. So this is that generating that ability to really feel joy in oneself for other people's happiness. Instead of jealousy, envy. And then finally, may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And we turn to page 98 for the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, if that's correct. Of course, this is for those who identify as Buddhist. So you can read it out of interest, but you don't have to recite it, of course. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. You get me to clean up. Thank you. Okay. So how's your mind this morning? Thanks. I'll just keep it for the time being. Good?
Good.
Calm? Crazy? Neurotic?
Just feeling like that this past week at work. Just felt like so much. Like, all right, what project I work on, the emails, and it's like, oh, this thing went out at the house, and just felt like, yeah, and I really felt the impact of all the decisions like we make, all these micro decisions we make every day.
It's good that you recognize that. And it takes a lot of energy, and so it's really good to like breathe in between them, kind of go, oh, it doesn't have to happen. And that's what I did this morning. I was going 90 miles an hour. And it was just like, I was like, there's no need for this added energy, It's like, and not only that, it usually it's a good condition for things to go wrong, like you drop something or you think you put your tea on the counter and you miss, so it's just like, and then that slows you down, way down. So, it's so important to, recognize the energy that's there. We can't always do anything about it. I spend a lot of time going like this. I just, whatever that thing is. Supposedly it helps, just the pressure against this part of the body. It helps if you also breathe, but it can just, oh, wait a minute. I had that heart fluttering thing going on this morning. It's like, oh, it's been a while since I've had that, but it's just like, okay.
Put an ice pack on your chest for just a couple minutes. That'll relax you.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll consider that. It wouldn't be my go-to thought. But hey, I'm always in ice packs in this state. Oh, okay. So recognition of what's going on in our mind is critical to our ability to take charge of what's going on in our mind. If we don't recognize what's going on in there, we don't do anything. We've fallen into the river and we're just going with the river, and no matter, if the current's slow, the current's fast, if it's, blah, 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 we're bumping into rocks, we're just falling into the river. But if we can recognize what's going on with our awareness, we can pause and choose whether to fall in the river or not. And my advice is to try never to fall into the river. We want to choose the direction we're going. So we can't do that when we've gotten sucked in by some stream of thought. So we need to recognize what is busying our mind, because behind all that busyness or what worry or whatever tone it has, there's also just awareness. We want to tap into that. So it's like when you're looking at the river, when you're looking at your thoughts, you're not in them. You know the difference. When you want to develop that ability to know the difference, to recognize when you're just observing, going, oh, that's interesting. I'm running around like a mess. These people right here, y'all are my indicators if someone's coming in the room. It's like, hi, don't feel self-conscious. I'm the one who's embarrassed because I'm not supposed to be distracted by such things, but I see these faces and I just kind of go, okay. Oh, I need a little, what do you call it? It's like a side view mirror, so I don't have to give it away.
The camera.
Yeah, just kind of, I see you, but, oh, welcome. So, yes, somebody has a question. Sherry.
Hi, Tendron. First of all, I'm really glad you're back.
Thanks, Sherry.
I just wanted to share with the group, maybe I'll be able to start talking without crying.
Okay.
I survived the storm up here in Asheville. And I haven't cried once because I was in survival mode for the first couple of weeks, and it's just right here in my chest. And my particular neighborhood got hit really bad. And it's funny because you're talking about the river. I live along the Swananoa River, and there were countless people that died within a square mile of me. And their houses were washed away. And when I walk my dogs, it's along the river and it's really beautiful. And now it's strewn with people's belongings and trees stripped down to the bark if they're still standing. And it's just a reminder of how many lives have been altered or completely vanquished. And I'm having a hard time adapting back to getting to my heart and being able to even listen to what you're saying, because I just came from walking my dogs, immediately walked my dogs, and then came and was able to get in the Zoom, and it's still right there, and I haven't once felt the enormity of what happened in my neighborhood and in my community. I won't let myself feel it.
Well, that's understandable because it's difficult to feel it, isn't it?
Yeah.
None of us want to feel it. we'd all like to change the subject. You know,
Yeah.
it is
It's
very
easy
hard.
just to get into survival. Like, okay, got to do what needs to be done.
Yep. So it's really important to have patience with yourself, to be able to be okay with however you are responding in this moment. And in each moment, you can't rush the process because you've been through a shock.
Mhm.
And it's from all different angles. You know, your town is not the same. Doesn't matter how it recovers, it will not be the same. And of course, we all know intellectually that's true every day, that everything changes every day. But when you're faced with a stark shift in your reality, we're not prepared for that. So it's so important to have compassion for yourself. This is this is true suffering. You know, it's not to be minimized. We can, it's part of, it has some of our good qualities in it. And that is that we care what happens to people. We care about, we know how important it is for people to feel like their lives are stable, and now they're anything but. These are our good qualities of care and compassion for others. We need to have some for ourselves, so that you can sit with the pain without feeling like anything in particular, without any kind of judgment about how you're feeling, or if you need to escape from it and just go busy yourself. I mean, this is, it's very similar to me is when someone, close to you dies and you get caught up in all the preparations for things because you can't do anything else. It's like, it's sort of like you're almost grateful to have all these things to do so you don't have to just sit with the loss. So this isn't weird or childish. It's just, of course, it's hard. So able to be as gentle and as kind, and also to be aware of how sad you are, that it's present. You won't drown, even though it will feel like you're drowning. And you will have, then you go do something. I think the doing can really help you right now. Because we need breaks from just, oh my goodness, what now? What to do? We have to pace ourselves. I'm sorry you're experiencing this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Be here any way you can be. Don't
Mhm.
worry about your attention. And this we all have to respect, is that sometimes something's going on with ourselves that is overtakes our heart. We just don't have a lot of space for managing it. This is one of the good things about our practices before these things help, because they will help. It might not arise right away, but over time, you will find that you are able to manage these different intense feelings. But there's no changing the loss. The loss is a loss. And bearing witness to it, acknowledging that this is very painful and that this happens all over the world. That people in Gaza are experiencing this, people in Ukraine are experiencing this, people in Lebanon are experiencing this, people in wherever these places are that I don't even know where they are, where all of a sudden their community's just gone. Wildfires do this, tornadoes, this is, this is part of the true suffering that we face in our lives. And fortunately, most of the time, we're not experiencing it. So that's part of remembering our good conditions when it's not happening. But it doesn't mean it's not happening somewhere. So being able to hold in that space, all the people who are suffering in this moment, and trying to send them as much positive energy as you can of support. And then, I mean, obviously, people also send real help, tangible help, not, of being able to go do something that's tangibly helpful. But it is also helpful to validate that this goes on in the world, so that we, learning to sit with the fact that there's real suffering in the world is helpful to the people of the world, and that's part we can all rise to, And this is what the Buddha is trying to teach us about equanimity. That it doesn't matter who they are, why something is happening. What it matters is that, in these moments, their lives are being destroyed and they are suffering greatly. And we should wish them to be free of that from a very heartfelt place. And we can't make that stop. So we have to sit with that truth. Just like sitting with a good friend, experiencing a loss, sitting here with Sherry, sharing her story. This is also suffering. It's a shared suffering of our existence.
I do have to say that there is massive comfort in knowing that I myself and none of us are alone.
Right.
We're not alone. And especially it was very transformative to have gone through this in the last month, because our whole neighborhood of 300 people got together and survived. We were cut off. Our road was completely destroyed, so we couldn't get in and out. And we got together and we formulated a plan of what we were going to do, what we needed to do, and we cheered each other on, and it was transformative. And now I have people, like I know people, I've made friendships, lifelong friendships, and then just our community, and and this community and my Buddhist community, none of us are alone. None of us are alone, and we need each other. It was very, very much a reminder that we can't live our lives alone. We need each other.
Yeah. Independence is a total myth.
Mm-hmm.
No, we are interdependent. Thank goodness. This is the good news. We tend to resist it, but it's actually very good news, because there are people here. I mean, that we do have things we can share. We can cut people off by building up barricades around our heart. But if we let them down a little, or even when we don't let them down, people will tend to show up anyway. So we want to rejoice in that. And we need to understand the interdependence of all these events, that it's just, it didn't ripen for us in this moment. Doesn't mean it won't tomorrow. It's just we're not in it right now, so what can we do to be of help for those who are in it right now? And, these little things that we do, like most people, those of us from Florida and North Carolina, I was in North Carolina when this happened, and I was fortunate there to not be near Asheville. But we all call our friends, don't we? We call and say, "Are you all right?" It was a storm in your area. Well, and so we check on each other to find out, So it's like, and this is a good thing that we do that. It's not, like, oh, so often our impulse is just to get the gossip of the day. This is when we're really concerned, and we would like to know, we'd like to be reassured. And if we can't be reassured, we want to find out if we can help. So just take a moment to take this in. That, like Sherry, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are suffering in this way. And who are receiving help from those around them and from those that are far away. We're trying to get things to them. We really can imagine light rays going from our heart, carrying our heart energy out to all points of the world, all the people in the world. Letting the goodness that's within flow out. Rejoicing that we're not alone. Knowing that we're following a path that teaches there's a way out of this suffering. And the way out is knowing true suffering, knowing the causes of that suffering, knowing there's a way to end it, and practicing the path. So lately we've been talking about including our practices, including, putting ourselves in our practice, so that equanimity doesn't just mean the people around us, that we also need to feel that evenness of mind towards ourselves, because many of us spend an awful lot of time judging ourselves, criticizing ourselves. And we need to understand that that harms us and it's not necessary. We want to develop the skill of being able to talk to ourselves like we talk to our best friend, and be able to be compassionate and loving and patient and kind. Because those are the minds we want to practice. So when we're treating ourselves harshly or practicing the wrong thing. So there are times when we realize, oh, I'm acting in a way that I'm not proud of. We need to feel compassion in that moment. There's a reason we're not acting the way that we, either we don't know any other way, or because we're suffering in some way and it's coming out in a certain fashion that's not, attractive. Well, we need to validate that we're suffering beings. We're not Buddhas yet, just like our best friends. And instead of berating ourselves and practicing that mind, it's better to just accept where we are and try to do better. But being more accepting of where we are, because we are all in states of, that roller coaster of the day, where there's moments where we feel pretty good about ourselves, pretty good about what we're doing, and then other moments we're just like, whoa. I mean, we really can change on a dime. Just, and that's partly because of the habits of mind we're practicing, of where we exaggerate the importance of individual moments as if somehow, they're the all-important moment of our lives, when they are not. It's just another moment. So being able to take it in stride, so to speak, as opposed to point it out and blow it up into some big moment, is not helpful. And it doesn't help the people around us either. Because when we're being harsh on ourselves, there's an energy of suffering that we're generating, Better to just let someone know than to, indirectly let them be affected. So when we hear someone suffering, what's our general natural response?
We want it to stop. We want to fix it, or we want it to stop, or
We want to help in some way.
I heard it referred to, I think, as spiritual denial or something like that, where when someone is suffering, we want to be able to say words that heal and make them feel better. But sometimes you just have to sit with it,
Right.
and not, oh, feel better, not that.
Not placate. But the thing is,
Chronic illness.
Yeah. but the thing is that underneath that is this wish to help. Yeah.
Into it depends on the person. They have a lot of, passion, you want to be compassionate, but if they have wisdom or they have a practice of wisdom, you want to remind them to use those skills so that they can overcome them.
That's just your natural response. I'm asking for your natural response.
That's what I'm talking.
Okay, good.
Help people as needed, as they need. And then if there's some kind of a wisdom aspect to.
I would say the wisdom aspect here is that wish that they are not suffering. You may not be able to affect it. Your wisdom is one way to help them.
But you mentioned it already. You mentioned patience, which is an attribute of wisdom. So
Yeah.
Therefore, you're already mentioning something on the wisdom side. It just depends on who.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm trying to get at that we have these 4 habits that arise when we're around people who are suffering.
I was at this time in North Carolina, 30 miles from Asheville, in a town called Hendersonville.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And,
You have company there, Sherry.
and, Hendersonville itself, the town was fine. Some trees down here and there. In our neighborhood, there's.
Can you
trees.
hear her, Sherry?
There were trees and,
Almost.
and, electric wires everywhere, and no electricity, and you had boil water and, but I was okay. And, most of the people around me were okay. And I felt such gratitude.
Yeah.
To be okay and so close to such, I mean, I've never seen disaster like this. But anyway, so I felt guilty a little bit too.
Yeah, okay.
That was one, but I wanted to help. I sent money. That was my way of helping.
Yeah.
But it was a roller.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to remind you, yes, there are different ways to appropriately respond to people who are in these situations and suffering and in the ways in which you try to help. But the good news is that we have the desire underneath whatever the method we're using, we'd like the suffering to end. You know, it is rare that our first thought is, well, you deserve it. You know, and that's good news about us. You know, is that most of the time we don't have that frame of mind. You know, that we have this frame of mind that has a more, that knows, oh, I hate to suffer, you know, and I'd like you to stop suffering too. You know, that thing, that is what the Buddha said is our Buddha nature. And that's what teachers will say is the proof of our Buddha nature is that we naturally have compassion. You know, not everybody, obviously. There are mental illnesses that don't allow that to arise. There are people who have compassion only for animals, only for their pets. There are people, you know, this also is true. But the fact that we can feel compassion for anything outside of ourselves is a very good start. You know, and the teachings say that's the basis for our Buddha nature. So that is something worth cultivating. And one way to practice is with yourself. You know, when you have suffering, instead of, you know, necessarily just jumping in to fix it or to, you know, avoid it or whatever, is to take a moment to recognize that that's what's arisen. Oh, I'm suffering. You know, okay. No need to panic. You know,
And
but having
another
that,
good, can
yeah,
I
go
add
ahead, Karen.
something to that?
Yeah.
And that it's impermanent.
Yeah. And this is that
This,
wisdom.
this too shall pass.
Yeah. And this is where contemplating these different aspects of things is so important because they become a habit so that we can see, oh, okay, so there's the truth of suffering. You know, everything is impermanent. I'm sorry, you want to? Everything is impermanent. So not only does pleasure cease, but so does suffering cease. You know, we can't even hold our minds on something. You know, have you ever tried just sitting, you know, say you're in pain, you know, like your knee hurts or something, and you try to focus on that, on the knee pain. Can you do it all day? No, you just can't. I don't know whether it's just boredom or what. We can't do it, you know. So, you know, we want to, that again is that recognition of awareness. So one of the things we want to make sure we do is recognize when a moment's passed. You know, so that we can recognize relief from that suffering. Also recognize when the pleasure has ceased, so that we can understand what is it? The unreliability of sensual pleasure, that the good taste of food, but it ends, even something we're enjoying, like listening to some music, we can get tired of that. We don't want the same album to keep playing. Do they even call them albums? What do they call them?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
problems.
Okay. All right. Even that's like we just put them in
We
albums
just
on
stream- yeah,
YouTube
we
or something.
put them out, but we stream them now.
Okay. I don't do any of that, so I don't know. I do podcasts though. So, but that we get, so these, we want to remember, this is bringing that wisdom into it, but there, so we have moments where we just face the suffering. And then we have moments where we kind of go, okay, how can I take care of myself through this suffering? So recognizing impermanence, recognizing you're not alone, recognizing that you don't have to know exactly what to do to get through it. So it's what is helpful in these situations is not going at the pace that you and I have been going this week. You need a little stillness, to allow yourself, and those don't have to be physical, but mental pauses to be able to help you recognize these things, to let them bubble up to the surface so that you're not grasping after, one thing after another, instead of, choosing what might work best, discovering what might be helpful, and not rushing the process. I know sometimes it can be very difficult to just allow the awareness of suffering in, or fear, or any other, whatever flavor of that suffering it is. What's the disadvantage of ignoring it?
About what?
Ignoring the suffering.
It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.
Like shadow always.
So it haunts us.
You cannot observe it.
You can't observe it.
You make progress
Why can't you make progress?
because you're ignoring it.
So we actually can do something. Yeah, Hernan.
You were training your mind to run away from things instead of facing them.
Instead of facing them. Yeah. So if there is some solution, you're not looking for it. So it will persist, Now, so what's Shanti Deva's thing? Who knows Shanti Deva's advice?
There's
Nothing you can do about it, do it, if not.
Boy, there's so many and that's one way to translate it.
Yeah, that was my short.
Yeah, no, we all, and I have it for different moods. So,
Let it go. Adding on more suffering.
And so that gets to my version of it. If you can fix it, why worry? If you can't fix it, why worry? But it's being able to recognize, and you do have to look. You have to sit with it. You have to be able to recognize there may be something you can do. And if there is something you can do, you can quit bitching about it and just do that. If there's nothing you can do, then what do you need to do? Yeah, well, that too. Quit bitching about it. It's always recommended.
It always make it worse.
Yeah. No question about it.
Following Shanta Davis' advice makes it.
Yes. So if you can't do something about it, what are some things you don't want to do? What are things that make it worse?
Ruminating.
Ruminating, which does absolutely nothing except remind you can't do anything about it. That's really pleasant.
Sharing the story again and again.
With everybody else.
Yeah, I try to be careful. I try to notice, okay, told the wife, maybe I don't need to tell mom, best friend.
Right.
Rehearse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're rehearsing that whole thing. You know, because what does that imply when we do that, when we tell everybody?
They care.
As if they care. Okay, it's important to us. What else are we seeking?
Validation.
Of what?
And I'm right above my anger or suffering, yes.
Or negative state.
Showing that we don't know what to do about it.
And you're also planting the same seeds of complaining about things on other people's minds.
Well, yeah, it's not a good look. We all, you know, that much, you know, we're seeking something. We need to look at what is it we're looking for. You know, we're seeking for a solution. We're still hoping somebody can say, oh yeah, there is something you can do about it. You can get that guy fired, you know, I mean, whatever, you know, you know, we have not accepted, there's nothing we can do about it. And maybe you're correct. Maybe you have to do some more analysis about whether you can do something about it. And then, you know, but the attitude of like sharing with the world how this situation's not working may not be your best strategy, you know, because it's really just stirring the negative energy as opposed to saying, I have this issue, you know, the da. Do you have a suggestion of how I might be able to change the situation, you know, where we seek help, we acknowledge that we still want help. And if everybody we talk to says, you know, I don't think there's a solution, we might want to look at that and move on, you know. So, but we don't need to beat ourselves up for not having a solution. We don't need to judge ourselves for not having a solution. We don't need to judge ourselves for being in a situation where there's no solution. You know, we don't have to blame the other people. We don't have to say that my suffering with this is somehow your fault. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even need to have a solution. We just need to recognize that suffering is there and accept it.
Yep.
Yes, you use the word acknowledge, to acknowledge that there's suffering and what the problem is.
Yep.
Pay attention.
And be compassionate towards yourself. I wish this suffering would end, you know. So I don't think I'll hold on to it tightly and spread it around. You know? So it's this process of, why did the Buddha say we need to look at suffering? Why is there the truth of suffering? Why would that be one of his first teachings, or if not the first teaching?
Is it self-perpetuating or we self-perpetuate?
That's the causes of suffering.
Okay.
You have to first see that there's suffering in order to be interested in the causes of suffering. You know, I remember one of the director of the center in North Carolina. He met the Buddhism when he was in his 20s, I guess. He said, he kept thinking, I'm sorry, but I'm not suffering. There's no suffering here. And it took him a long time to see what was really meant by that. He had very good conditions. Of course, he met Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, probably His Holiness. You know, back in those days where everybody was very easily accessible. So, and I'm the same age as he is, and I didn't meet any of those conditions. So, didn't ripen for me. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
recognizing the suffering, this creates a basis for renunciation.
Absolutely. Big issue. So are people familiar with renunciation? Why would we want renunciation? What does it even mean? What does renunciation mean to you?
Freedom from suffering, freedom from cyclic existence.
Yeah, that's the positive spin. That's where Steve calls it rejoiciation.
An intentional decision to give up what we think is causing us happiness.
That's probably a different tradition, you know. But renunciation is in Buddhism is this recognition there's nothing in cyclic existence for us. There's nothing, there isn't actually happiness in this cycle of birth and death, and we need to get out. And the way out is through our minds, how we think, and how we behave based on how we think. So if you're not there yet to even consider the fact that there might be past and future lives, you know, this might be too big of a leap, you know. But one good thing about looking at suffering is it's that reminder, oh, I think there's, you know, I think all the money in the world is going to protect me from suffering. No, doesn't do it. All the, you know, I don't know, think of whatever you can think of that we think, oh, if I just have that, you know. No, there's no protecting us from suffering in this world, in this kind of existence. It's the nature of suffering. Well, that's depressing. But the Buddha, I mean, one of the things that appealed to me about Buddhism was the fact that it says, guess what? It can end. It's not, what would you call it? It's not, our suffering isn't inevitable. Our suffering is the result of confusion about how we exist. And because of that confusion, all sorts of habits arise of body, speech, and mind that we think are going to lead us to happiness, which in fact do not. And we need to develop more control of our minds and really develop that awareness of what's going on and recognize, oh, maybe this isn't helping, you know, but also learning how we add suffering to our own minds. We increase our suffering by the way we think, and sometimes by what we say, and sometimes by what we do. We need to work on our wisdom, and in Buddhism, the ultimate wisdom is the wisdom that knows how things actually exist, not how they appear to exist to us. So when we see, like when I get up in the morning and see a beautiful day outside, you know, that gorgeous blue sky, we get da-da-da, and I think, oh, you know, it's going to be a glorious day. And then I will open the door, you know. It's like, oh, let's change that thought, you know. But that it wouldn't matter. Say I was, you know, I had the AC up too high, whatever the phrase is, you know, and I open the door and go, oh, relief from that coldness, you know. And then I'm outside for 37 seconds, you know, and it's like, ooh, and I go back into that cold and go, wow, this is nice. This is nice. And we spend our whole day like this. Oh, this food tastes good. Oh, too much. Oh, I need coffee. Ooh, I had too much. You know, all day long, we chase after little things that we think we just need. Oh, that'll make me, that's perfect. You know, da-da-da. And then it goes away. So we just do what? We get something else. We change channels on TV like that. We change whatever it is we play now. We change our streaming, the music, whatever. We change the playlist. You know, God, no word do I know has been updated lately. I'm sure playlist
Videos
is a
on
word.
YouTube,
Yeah, well, yeah.
playlist.
Yeah, I can't, oh, okay. Knowledge is temporary. So, so what do we do with that? So the Buddha said, as long as we look outside of ourselves for happiness, we'll never be satisfied. Where does happiness exist? If you've ever had any experience, I'm sorry,
Like our minds.
it's a mental activity, isn't it? It's inner, it's mental, it's not external. You know those irritating people in your life that seem to enjoy everything? They're always in a good mood. They're always glad to see you. They're glad to see everybody else,
Sorry.
you know. And you ask them, you guys, how's your day? Oh, it's terrific. So that's Jack's phrase. And there's a part of you that just, like, now, I know not everybody's me, so you probably don't have this thought, but I have that occasional thought, like wringing their neck. I mean, it's just like, please don't come into my field of vision because, I don't feel that way today. And you're not, validating my experience, whatever. I don't act like this anymore, but I did for a long time. What is different between those people and me? Their thought patterns, what they're focusing on. They're not seeking their happiness outside of themselves. They're not looking at you and going, how can you make me happy? Because that's how we twist things, isn't it? Love to us is we love you to make us happy. It's a, what do you call it? Reciprocal thing, That will never bring us happiness. Because we can't control what's external to us. We can barely control what's into us, but we can take control of our thoughts. The good news is our mind is just this faculty of knowing. It's a reflective capacity to know. But what it knows is what we train it to. It's capable of reflecting whatever is. But if we're constantly directing it towards, what do I want? How often do what we want manifest? Is that something? Anyway. How often do we have, does an activity turn out exactly the way we want it to? Or a conversation with a friend, or a conversation with a not so friend, or the experience of driving our car to work.
It seems like enough to make us have an expectation that it should always turn out that way. Like,
Well, the should always turn
right,
out that way probably has something to do with because it involves me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you do.
So
you
this is-
logically know that it won't, but there's a part of us that anticipates.
this is
that.
why the teachers say that people who have really good conditions have more mental health problems,
And more what?
mental health issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
we expect
we
fairness.
expect,
We expect
and it
justice.
mostly
Yeah.
does go okay because we have great conditions until we don't. But people in places where there's more poverty, there's more hunger, there's more, everything. Everything is more difficult. They don't spend quite as much time trying to seek happiness in what happens because mostly things don't happen well. So we're falling for something that's not true. We're falling for this appearance of good conditions are permanent. And it's not true. And it can't be true. Why can't it be true? And we have to understand it's impossible to be true. Anybody been sick lately?
I'm in a fair amount of pain right now.
Yeah, yeah. You want my neck? I'll trade yours for my neck, and then we have a sort of variety of pain. Yeah. So aging, for those of you who are young,
That's right.
enjoy it while you can. So nothing stays the same. That's it. Everything breaks, everything wears out. You know, why do you think they spend so much money on commercials about how this detergent won't fade the color in your clothes? It's not true. I can tell you, things turn pink. So, you know, everything is changing constantly. So thinking that your good conditions will not change, we all know of situations, shocking situations, where people felt safe and then are not. Sort of like Asheville. You know, the reality is we are at the mercy of the elements. What is, I saw something the other day of some like 110 people got sick after eating some food at a party. We're at the mercy of food. We're at the mercy of the air. You know, all the people in India who have respiratory issues because of pollution. It's probably true here as well. I don't know if you ever look at the air quality index. It's not always that great in Florida. It's not all that great anywhere on the planet, but you know. But this is part of our condition. So we're fragile. Yes, Debbie.
Even the things that you like, you might not like a few years later, like type of music or food or. Like,
Our TV show, you kind of look at some rerun, you go, what was I thinking? You know?
It could still be there, but your mind.
Yeah, you've changed. Yeah, your body changes, the way foods taste you change. I mean, everything. It's just, it's constant. So grasping after external conditions, oh, my body's always going to feel this way. You know, then you have to finally reach the point going, this is as good as it's ever going to get. You know, when you have a good day, because you're going to be older tomorrow. So, you know, these are the things that we, you know, this is what this kind of existence is. But instead, we hold it to be some sort of permanent condition. You know, we're alive, so surely we'll wake up tomorrow too. Good luck with that. That will change.
You mean I'm not invulnerable?
Huh?
You mean I'm not invulnerable?
You're not invulnerable. Yeah. So if your happiness depends on that, you've already set yourself up to not be happy. So part of our effort in reducing our suffering, part of the skills we need is to have a realistic view of things, of relationships, of our bodies, of our work, our play, all of those things that, you know, where that what is the biggest habit we have in advance of an event? I asked the weirdest question. Expectations. Thank you. He understands my question. Yeah, I have really weird questions. Okay, I agree. So expectations. Why are they're crazy, actually. They're crazy making. What do they say? What do expectations say?
Things have to go the way I want them to go.
Well, yeah, that's what the word means. I expect this to happen. And we fantasize about what we expect to happen. How accurate are our fantasies? It's the last time you checked, how much did they match life?
80%.
80%. Very good. Terrific. Terrific, you know? We do want that match. It's just never going to be a fantasy. You know? Because happiness really isn't about getting what you want. Happiness, in the context of Buddhism, it's more about this, first of all, not suffering. That's involved, not suffering. But it's a peacefulness, a non-agitated state. You know how craving and infatuation kind of feel good when there's a chance of them being fulfilled? Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe that's just in my head, you know. I forgot where I was going.
Peacefulness.
Yeah, that even infatuation, which might be a pleasant experience when it's happening, especially if it's shared, you know, is an agitated state. So it's not just those things that we don't like that we want to notice. We want to also notice when we have an agitated state due to something that we do like. What is usually going on? Because it's what's definitely going on when it's something we don't like. What's also going on when it's something we do like?
The mind starts flying. It's flying.
Yes. It really soaring, you know.
It's like a chemical change in the body all the time, you know, when you're infatuated.
It's following the mind. Yep.
It's exaggerated.
Yeah. Like
It
Nicole
feels,
says,
and it
yes.
feels a little out of control.
Yes. Well, and it is a little out of control, isn't it? Drat.
It's right.
Kind of fun. I was really into infatuation. I liked it. So
It feels like fragile, like you might not get it, or if you get it, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
or it's-
I don't know, the whole thing is sort of, you know, like watching a scary movie, you know, it's really, you know, but it's agitated.
That real- how many pairs of shoes do you have?
I don't have a shoe infatuation. I had a men infatuation. What? Let's face it. Anyway, so the point is we're exaggerating something, aren't we? An infatuation is exaggerating the positive qualities about something. You know, and we get infatuated with all kinds of things. You know, for a period there, I was infatuated with convertible red silicas, Toyotas.
Yeah.
Oh, they were convertibles. Every time I'd see one, I'd go, ooh, you know, that's kind of nice, you know, even though they're insane, but you know, that would be nice. It's been really nice now that I have no hair. So we're exaggerating. What's the problem with exaggeration?
Have to come back down to reality eventually.
And what does that feel like?
I'd rather be up
Yeah,
than
that's
level.
that's the, you know, the down part of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Oh, drat. You know, and not only that, we blame. Oh, I must not be good enough. We forget to like maybe blame the exaggeration. You know, because that's what's at fault. Is the way we're thinking about things. Yeah.
Something I say to myself every morning is, may my heart be at peace with whatever arises. And throughout the day, I'll say that too, to myself to remind me.
Yeah. Because that is the way to not let externals determine your day.
This is what equanimity is for.
Yeah.
Give us the quiet voice from not being
going back and forth.
It's that, like, what's that story about about the father whose son comes home? What's the story?
Prodigal son.
No, it's
Yeah.
talking about
The
both.
horse.
Yeah, like the horse,
Oh.
yeah.
And
so-
someone asked the dad
Yeah,
about,
Leg.
is it good or bad?
Yeah,
Maybe,
Yeah.
It depends. Maybe good, maybe bad.
so everyone
Then
said-
the army comes to the house and says, we need your son. I'm sorry, he's got a broken leg. Now it's kind of good news,
Maybe not.
Yeah. And then and the story about the person, couple stuck stranded on the roof of their house, and complaining to God, why didn't you come save
yeah.
us, And
yeah.
I said, I sent you a boat. So, this is our mind, this is, so our exaggeration of expectation. So it's not good enough to have a boat. You want, the stairway from heaven to come rescue you, that's because that's what's in your mind. That's what matters. That's what will work, it's, and then you look at, oh, this is a catastrophe that my son's leg is broken, he's not going to be able to do the work I had expected, we just run away with things, exaggerating the what we perceive as positive or negative about that situation. Right there, we're wrong. As soon as you introduce exaggeration to your thought, it's an incorrect thought. It cannot be right. What exaggeration means. It's not correct. It's an exaggeration.
And some people are constantly looking for more and new and better.
I don't know anybody like that. But so this is the thing, right? This is why we want to see reality as it is. We need to see that it's impermanent. We need to see that happiness or suffering is really a state of mind, not an event. And that it is possible to be happy no matter what's going on. That seems kind of a stretch, but we see it in people like the Dalai Lama, like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and his truth, is it? Truth and reconciliation. Cause, I mean, we see people who are up against really tough situations. And yet they still laugh. They still, good spirits. They still have friends. They still see people as friends. They're not caught in this, mind of misery. And then we have those friends that, walk around like happy all the time, So we know it's actually possible. But we think either there's something wrong with them or they're magical, and actually it's effort. It's being able to separate your own peaceful mind from events. We don't have a lot of control over events, so we have to kind of roll with them. Some are harder than others, but we can handle it if we work with our mind. If we start to recognize what can I do about, there's something I can do here, so I'm going to implement that. What we can't change is what's happened. That's one of those things we have to let go of. That if only mind, oh, if only it hadn't happened. Well, that's going to be helpful. We need to recognize that is not helpful. That blaming mind. If you hadn't done that, this wouldn't happen. It's already happened. And then many things. I mean, it's like the flooding, from the storm. Who created the cause for that? You believe in cause and effect. The whole planet is suffering from climate change. we're all involved. You know, it's this, this is that interdependence. We're interconnected. That what we do matters everywhere. It's just not going to be immediately obvious. Now you can, when you look at real estate, you can look at whether or not it looks like it might be relatively okay with climate change. It's not encouraging. I should look up Asheville. But these are things we have to know about our world. That it's vulnerable. It matters what we do. All of our experiences are interdependent on what everybody else is doing too. This is why sending out positive energy matters. Trying to put your mind in a positive place matters, because it matters to our day. It matters to the people who interact with you that day. You never know how you're touching someone's life. So I found out they actually do composting at the Deerfield recycling drop-off now. Yay! My inability to cook will no longer haunt me so much. So, but I mean, so these are things. So the way we treat our trash, the way we drive our cars, the way we turn on the air conditioner, the way all of these things can be a benefit or not. So we have the opportunity every moment, every day to be of benefit. And it feels good to be of benefit. We know that. Research even backs us up. So if we take care of our mind and our actions that arise from our mind, the way we speak to each other, what we do with our bodies, that's how we can participate well in the world, and be of benefit and not be of harm. And we have to learn a lot to know what those things are. But we start with that motivation. May it be of benefit and not of harm. May I, no matter what arises today, may I greet it with, acceptance and a good mind. Bring some wisdom to it. Motivation is really helpful. Even this desire, like, oh, may I be of benefit today, can kind of change things a little bit. And the more that's habituated, then, that's the first thought that comes to your mind. So instead of like, oh, what's this? I don't feel well, my neck hurts, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, food for thought or not. So, hi, Connie. I just saw your name. Okay. So on Thursday nights, we're continuing with wisdom energy, which is the first publication they did of Lama Yeshe's teaching, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So it's old, but it's valuable. What else do we have? Anything?
And then, not for a while, but I always like to mention it. So we do Medicine Buddha pujas once per month, and the next one will be November 15th.
So look out for that. Medicine Buddha is a practice that benefits everything. Success at any project, if you're worried about something. So it doesn't have to just be this, worried about someone who's ill or yourself that's ill or whatever. It's a powerful practice. The Medicine Buddhas made prayers to do just about any ill you could imagine. And so so it's considered a very powerful practice to be of help in general.
And we had 10 people here last time, so it's nice to have.
And I hear Anthony's a very good leader. See, yeah, don't worry, no pressure.
I know, right now it's really performed. And the final thing I want to mention, because it's been a while, but the center is a profit organization, but unfortunately.
Boy, is it not profit.
Yeah, but we do have costs, right? Utilities, things of that nature, and also.
They
when we
feed me.
bring- We have to, yeah, sustain our teachers, right? Because, Venerable Tendron, this wisdom that she's acquired, shouldn't be able to be an accountant at the same time or have another job. So visiting teachers, all these things, they have cost. And then we have long-term objectives as well for the center. As many of you may know, we've tried to look into getting a home because it's more sustainable. And also it would enable us to do more things. And so, if you have the ability to donate, we encourage you to do so. The best way we think is probably through recurring donations, becoming a member, because now we have a recurring stream of income and we could project more accurately. And we have different tiers of membership. And then the final thing I'll say is that if you can't donate at this time for whatever reason, that is fine as well. Teachings are not, we don't want cost to ever be a hindrance. And so maybe, and I hope we do a good job with conveying that because
Yeah, because the first time I went to a Buddhist teaching, I had no money, no job, I was getting divorced, and I kept asking the person going, are you sure there's not a fee? Is there sure there's not a fee?
yeah.
And it was a 4-day teaching on compassion. I was stuck. I asked about becoming a nun 2 months later. So you just never know. So, but we do need income. So whatever you can do to help, that would be grand.
And service is fine too. Maybe like money's not the best. Someone has skills with fundraising, I think we greatly appreciate that. Because none of us, let me not disparage everyone else, but I certainly don't,
Neither do I. So anyway, okay, guys. Hi, John. I'm looking at all these names I didn't notice before. Everybody at home, Sherry, big hug from all of us. She thanks for all your support.
Thanks for sharing. Is it possible for Sherry to share her email address with us so that we could reach out to her?
Okay, so Sherry,
I'll-
if you would
I'll
share
put
your
that-
email with me.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, and then I'll have it.
Yeah, and I have it as well.
That you say,
Yeah.
oh, you have hers. Okay,
Okay.
so
I
take
just
good
want to
care.
also
Let-
thank everyone for your support. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
Well, we're happy to be there for you and let us know if there's any way we can help, that we might not have thought of. So people will be reaching out. Yes, Margaret.
I just wanted to announce that we are having a food drive. We're trying to get food for Broward Pantry. Nicola's holding up the flyer, and if you would like one, you can pick one up on the way out. They are asking for certain kinds of foods, but really whatever you could bring would be helpful, except don't bring anything that needs to be refrigerated.
Right.
Because we don't have a refrigerator. So we're gonna be doing this for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you.
Have a box out? Thanks.
Yes, oh, yeah.
You accept, money donation too?
Sure, we could do that. We could, go out and get some groceries with that.
Oh, yeah, or you can give the money to the food pantry. So,
Yeah, sure, whatever you'd like to do.
right, we'll take all
Take
offerings. So, anyway. Okay, so ask Anthony if you want to reach out to Sherry for her email address, because it's in the chat, but I'm not gonna just read it all. Somehow that seems a little more than one should do. So, because it's being recorded. Anyway, so we care about you. We're thinking of you and all your neighbors and everyone in the world. So we will say dedication prayers now. And I'm gonna share one. So do.
So while you check in, Venerable, can I ask what happened with Sherry? Because I missed the beginning, sorry.
She was part of the North Carolina where all the flooding and the towns were just washed out. Her town was cut off from everybody because the roads washed out from Helene, the hurricane that devastated North Carolina, the western part.
Understand, sorry about that.
Thanks,
I
Donna.
actually have friends in North Carolina, I better check with them.
That would be good. How am I
Yeah.
doing?
Thank you.
I used to much better. Like, who cares?
You want me to share something, Venerable?
I found it. Let me see if I know how to share. Okay. I have too many things open. Okay, share. Now, find what I want to share. That's not it. No, that's not it. Okay, but maybe this will. No. Okay.
Probably sharing.
I'm failing.
Yeah. You gotta stop the share.
Yeah, I see that. But you know, like I'm not very, you really was better. I'm feeling stupid. Okay. All right. There it is.
Never do that, please.
Never do that. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Okay. So this is a practice that Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to recommend a lot. So it's for pacifying the dangers of weapons. Om Mani Padme Hum. Great, loving, victorious one, highest, sublime, compassionate eye, looking one, wrathful, victorious, Hayagriva, perfect, pure Tara, and so forth. Objects of refuge whose holy names eliminate all dangers upon mere hearing. We're compassionate in nature. Please pay attention to me. When the sentient beings of the time of quarreling and of flourishing of the 5 degenerations are tormented by fighting and intense suffering from the explosion of a great ocean of evil karma and jealousy, please dry this ocean up by the strength of your transcendental wisdom and compassion. Also, by letting fall a great nectar rain of loving kindness on the transmigratory beings whose hatred is a blazing fire, please grant your blessings for happiness and auspiciousness to increase by their recognizing each other as being like parents. Through your defeating the multitude of vicious evil spirits who by entering someone's mental continuum change it instantly into the mind of an asura. From now on, may they never roam in this region. Please also cause all the sentient beings who have died in war from now on to abandon all evil karma, the cause and result, and be miraculously reborn in blissful land. Please also lead all others to that pure land. Please cause all those who are born and die to have long lives and not have sicknesses, to shun all quarreling and fighting, and to enjoy a life in the 10 virtues. Please make rain fall at the right time, harvest to always be good, and auspiciousness to increase in all habitats and for all inhabitants. By the ultimate reality, which is pure nature, unbetraying cause and result, which has that ultimate reality, and the compassionate guru, mind-sealed deity, and rare sublime ones, may my pure and extensive prayers be accomplished. So for most of you, that might have been, what does any of that mean? But that's okay. It's still, what can I tell you? So we'll also say the long life prayers. Yeah, it's 144
Or 240.
or 244. We're good. Yeah. I've got Okay. So for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Kenzin Gyatso, please remain until Samsara ends. And I don't know that, oh yeah, I do have it. And then for the quick return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, 234 in your books. This is mine. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of victorious ones, Pravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losam father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of the reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Okay, so thank you very much. Sorry I went over time. But good to see you all. Glad you came.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for participating.
Thank you, Tendron. That was a wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. And thank you, everyone.
Bye, Tom.